So we're back. Are we back? Yes, we're back. That's so exciting. I love the music, and here we are, and we're back. So we're going to talk about peace. And I first have to say that I started going to this new church. I haven't been in church in years, and I'm not that's a whole day's worth of stories. But anyway, I take all of this peace stuff because the pastor was talking about peace and he inspired me to talk about peace today. But he told this story which was really interesting on what does peace mean to you. So first of all, Webster's dictionary describes peace as a state of tranquility, quiet, and a state of security. So interesting. That's the definition from Webster's dictionary. So the pastor tells this story of two paintings. He said there was a rich guy who wanted people to paint pictures of peace, and there would be a winner at the end. Now I'm going to ruin the whole story, but I'm going to try and do the best I can. So at the end of this competition, there were two paintings left for the rich man to pick from. The first painting they unraveled, and there was a beautiful scene, a crystal clear lake, very calm with beautiful trees and beautiful flowers, mountains in the background, and very serene. And then the next painting they unraveled, and everyone gasps. It's a rough, big waterfall, ferocious and violent, with dark and violent clouds all over the place, and just a violent area. And there's this big tree over the waterfall with one branch that just reached over the waterfall to the center. And at the center of that lonely branch was a nest. And in the nest was Mama Bird with her little baby birds just singing to the Lord from the nest. A place of peace. So think about that. Which place of peace is that for you? Thank you, Pastor, for that story, because it makes you really think about where are the turbulent times in my life. Turbulent times are going to cause stress, anxiety, and illness in your bodies. The word peace is mentioned 93 times in the Bible. So let's take a look at our lives and figure out where the turbulence is coming from. And when you figure out where the turbulence is coming from, you'll figure out a place of how to fix it. For example, if the turbulence is coming from your job, well, go find a new job. And a lot of people think that's very hard to do, and it could be in this day and age, but maybe that's something that you look for to the new year and just be like, you know what, I'm going to give myself 6 months, 8 months, a year. I'm going to find a new place. A place where people appreciate what I do, a place where, people love on me, a place where I'm, accepted, or whatever the issue is that is causing you turbulence. Maybe it's a coworker. I used to have one coworker that, boy, oh boy, there was no area of peace with this woman. Actually, I've had a couple now that I think about it. But when you can't find peace at work, that's the most difficult. I've had people come in the store just complaining about coworkers. And when you think about it, we spend a lot of time with these people at work trying to get a job done for the betterment of everyone. And when you do that, you want to make a nice environment. So figure out how to rectify those relationships or, move. If it's your spouse or your mother-in-law or your children, do what you can to fix it. If you have to call in professional help, try and fix it. The Bible says that we need to forgive the people that have conflict with us. And if they still have the conflict, then it's on them. It's not on us. So make sure that the conflict isn't on your side. There was this story at one time I read, and there was a woman who had fevers continually, and she couldn't get rid of the fevers. Remember one thing, God created this world with words. He said words. He spoke the whole world into existence with words. So this woman was always having fevers, went to a boatload of doctors, couldn't get rid of the fevers. And then one day she was in the doctor's office and they were talking about someone or something. And she's like, that thing just burns me up. That thing just burns me up. all the woman said all day long was, that burns me up. Everything burned this woman up. Well, this woman was burning up. And she created in her body this sense of heat just by the words and the nonsense, and that it's more the frustration of what you feel when you say, that burns me up. You have a different attitude in your body. Your whole body responds differently when you say those kinds of words in an angry, vicious tone. So watch how you're saying things, because again, stress, you lose sleep over these things. It all comes down to, disease and what it's doing to the inside of your bodies. So look at how you view other people in your life, forgive them for what they've done, and move on, and try and relinquish all of these things so that you don't carry them with you. So I always say there's 3 sides to every story, right? Yours, mine, and the truth, right? So remember that when you're angry with the next person, is like his truth, your truth. I'm going to fight for my side, you're going to fight for the other. But at the end of the day, is any of the fighting worth it? The fighting is not worth it. So we have to come to a place of peace. Even if the person wronged you, you don't have to be their best friend. You don't have to hang out with them. You don't even have to talk to them ever again. But find a place of peace in your relationships. Some of you, I know that you have households that are broken over politics, over vaccines, over political beliefs, over religious beliefs, over different types of peace. Let's try and bring those households back together again and find a way back to peace. But part of what peace is for me is relinquishing that bitterness and anger. Even if the situation is still null, believe that one day that situation is going to rectify itself, and families are going to be restored, and finances are going to be restored, and health is going to be restored, and all the things that are causing you to look down the road at next year and think, I'm never going to get out of this. Turn that mental mindset around and start saying, yeah, I am going to get out of this. This year the children are going to come home for Christmas. This year, my spouse is going to do X. This year, I am going to lose the weight. I am going to feel better. I am going to be healthier. This year I'm going to look for another job. This year, it's going to be more pleasant. Start looking. I told this story last week where I had to take the final exam again. And on Thursday, all I kept looking towards was Monday. I took the test on Sunday, but I didn't want to think about Sunday because that was just bringing me a tremendous amount of stress. I just kept thinking about Monday. I kept looking forward to Monday. I'm going to be able to sleep later. Monday is going to be a great day. Monday is going to be all these things, because Sunday I knew I was going to spend another 3 hours of my life thinking about the heart. So look at the kind of things you say, the people that you surround yourself with, who's really, interfering in your life, or whose life are you interfering with? A lot of times we could find peace if we understand that the ownership is on us. And we don't like to do that. We like to blame everybody. We like to point the finger, me included. I'm preaching to myself right here. We like to point the finger at other people. But when we look at who's at fault, it's us. Maybe we didn't say things the way we should. We're not saying kind words, we're demanding, controlling, whatever the things are that, and listen to people. If they've called you all of these things, listen to them. Maybe part of that, there's truth in that. And another place of peace is just to laugh. Some of these situations are not as serious as we all try to create them to be. Even, God has a sense of humor. And we need to look at the things that we're doing and all these, we get mad at the guy who just cut us off. But we don't know what his life is like. He may be carrying such tremendous burdens that he never looked to see that you were there. So sometimes we can't keep getting angry over things that we have no control over. And then next thing you know, you're sitting on the couch because you can't get up, because you're too tired, you're exhausted from the day, because you had X, Y, and Z conflicts. Try and laugh a little bit more. Try and look at the things that you're doing in your life and just find a sense of humor in them. We make peaceful situations and find a place of peace. You know, when you think about those two paintings, what is your place of peace? Find it. Create one. Create one in your home for next year, or create one in your backyard. If it's a chair under a tree where you could just go and just be with yourself for a few minutes just to find peace. A lot of times that will help you before you overreact, where you just take that time, you know, to sit back and find some peace. So physical location where you can mentally stay calm, even if it's in your office. You know, walk outside the building. With this coworker I used to have, it was, for me, it was outside the building, or I would just shut the door of my office and try and find peace and resolve the situation. So I went on jokojokes.com to come up with a few jokes about peace. Now, I did not write these, but here we go. My wife asked if she could have some peace and quiet while she cooked dinner. So I took the batteries out of the smoke alarm. That's where you're supposed to go, bum. Yeah, do we have that like queued up? All right, here we go. If you had to choose between $1 billion or world peace, how many bedrooms would you have in your mansion? And sleep is the greatest thing on earth. It's so great that if everyone did it at the same time, there would actually be world peace. How fun would that be? We all slept at the same exact time. No one would be on the road. There would be no conflict in the streets. Everybody would just be sleeping. Could you imagine what that would look like for the world? There would be this like intense peace, you know, and most of us, like me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's too quiet in here. It's too quiet. Somebody wake up. Will somebody please get up? Because it is just way too quiet in all of this peace. So think about ways to keep a little more tranquil next year. Make it part of what you're thinking about as your resolutions. So not all resolutions are about your weight. They're not about, they have to be about your whole being. In gerontology, it's about every part of your aging process, not just your physical process, but your mental process, your social process. Do you want to be out more with friends? Is there a club you could join? You know, a lot of this is very difficult as we get older to do, to find a club, to find a place to join. I will tell you, I've been out of church for a very long time. And it is very difficult for me to walk into a church because I'm a person of commitment. If I walk in, I'm going to stay. If I'm not a hopper. And, but it's very difficult because you don't know the people, you don't know the surroundings, you don't know what the pastor is going to say. There are so many unknowns, and it is hard to just walk into these situations of unknowns. But on the other side, there's so much you could learn and so many ways you could grow. Just like going back to school at my age. I never saw that coming, but I have learned so much that could help you guys. So you guys could go out and you could learn a bunch of stuff to help me. And that's how we should be working in this world together, to help us with our conflicts, to help us get through the season of aging. You get to a certain age and everything becomes a little bit harder, a little bit different. We look at it different. Our mindset is different. We are slower. I will laugh because I was at the research center yesterday, and boy, I love going there, and I love working there, and I love the staff there, and they are young. So I was talking to one of the young women, and we were talking about weight. And she's talking about going to the gym 3 times a week and lifting, and she thinks, she wants to, walk 3 days a week and work out 3 days a week. And I look at her and I go, you know something? At my age, I get up every day and I go, Barbara, just stretch today. Just stretch. That's all you have to do. Just stretch. At the minimum, I don't pick up a dumbbell. I don't do it. Just stretch. But usually when I say that to myself, the stretching will lead to at least a few, sit-ups and, maybe a couple of bicep curls and maybe, a squat or 2. But I at least start with just stretch. Sometimes the goals do not have to be lofty, they just have to get you your trajectory in a different mindset, because this body runs on the brain. The brain is running the whole entire thing. So what you put in your mind and what your brain is going to spew out is going to come from the top. So you want to make sure that you're putting positive things in there. And you've heard this before, I'm sure, and it's like, yeah, but it really is true, because your brain holds on to whatever it is you're cueing it in to be. So if you're going to get frustrated at the traffic and things like that you can't control, the mail delivery wasn't on time, the Amazon package didn't show up. There are so many different parameters of things that could happen to you in a day that are just inconveniences. Just try and push through those things and not let them get to you. And laugh, like I said, laugh more, have your own joke list. Maybe next week we just have you call in with peace jokes or jokes good jokes. You know what? I don't get jokes. Do you get jokes?
I can't remember them.
Yeah, I'm not a good joke teller, and I'm not a good joke getter. So if people tell me jokes, I'm like, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, when am I supposed to laugh here? Because I just, where is it exactly? Because I don't know. But we will be back, and on our way back, we have a lot more to cover here today and a lot more fun to have. So come back, listen to us.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.